Hello everybody, my name is Roy Panetta, and I'll start by going over the agenda for today's presentation. And it's listed there, there's a number of topics we'll cover today, and the first is I'll describe what a VPN is. Then I'll describe the different types of VPN implementations supported in DrayTek routers. Then I'll follow this by VPN protocols used and some background information on how the tunnels are established. And then I'll look at some VPN tools and go over a VPN configuration example. So we'll just start by looking at what is a VPN. So let's try the next slide there. Okay. Yeah, so a virtual private network, which is otherwise known as a VPN, allows remote computers to securely communicate with each other across the internet. Using VPNs provides a secure and low-cost method to extend the office network over the internet. So there is no need for a dedicated link between two sites to securely exchange data. So it becomes an extension of a private network encompassing links across shared or public networks such as the internet. This means that you can send data between two computers across a shared or public network in a manner that emulates the properties of a point-to-point private link. So here we've got some examples where VPN can be used, and it includes communication between the home office and a customer, secure connection between a teleworker, which would be a remote worker, staff on a business trip, and the main office communication, and then also exchange data between remote office and the main office. And it can also be used for point of sale between chain stores, say like a shop in a headquarters or the main store. So and here we've got a list of the DrayTek routers that support VPN tunnels. So you can see the number of VPN tunnels supported is determined by the router model. VPN tunnels start at two VPNs for the low-end routers, and as you can see from this table, the number of VPN tunnels is available, start for say 2, 16, 32, 50, 200 and up to 500 VPNs for the 3900 router. And many businesses will select a suitable router for their business based on the number of VPN tunnels that are required. So now just look at the different types of VPN tunnels, and so I'll just go through some of these. So there are two main types that are available in DrayTek routers. The first is LAN to LAN, where we have a router-to-router VPN connection. And the other is a remote dial-in, where a single user can log in remotely from their PC. So in this diagram, you see the two types. The top is the like a single user dialing in, at the bottom you've got office-to-office communication using a LAN to LAN. And as you can see in this diagram, the LAN to LAN VPN tunnel is used to connect a branch office to the home office, or home office rather, to the headquarters to share resources. One router is the VPN server, which is on the left-hand side there, and then on the right-hand side we've got the VPN client. So the client will dial into the server, VPN server. And users at the branch office can access servers or printers, for example, as if they were on the local network. In this mode, only one VPN connection is created, and all staff at the branch office can access the head office services. At the same time, head office staff can access the branch office services, so it allows you two-way communication across the tunnel. And in this diagram shows the other type of VPN tunnel, which is the remote dial-in VPN. Here a single user can use a VPN client running on the computer to set up a VPN tunnel for secure communication with the head office network. So so the client will be the user, shown on the right-hand side, and connects to the VPN server, which will be at the head office. So I'll just go to the next slide here. Okay, and The VPN client can be the default client built into Windows, or the smart VPN client that's supplied by DrayTek. It's also worth noting that for each remote dial-in VPN tunnel created, it counts towards the total number of VPN tunnels supported in the router. So, for example, the VIGA 2860 can have a maximum of 32 VPN tunnels. So this can be 32 remote dial-in connections, or a combination of dial-in connections and LAN-to-LAN VPN connections. And on this slide here, we've got the VIGA 2925, and it just shows you the options that are available for VPN. So the menu is similar to other models, and the VPN trunk management option is not available in all models. It is available in the higher end, or the dual and multi-WAN routers. So, but in the lower end, you don't have that option. So, okay, I'll probably go through that later. And on this slide here, in the screenshot, you can see that there are two options available in VPN trunk management, which I've got highlighted down the bottom. These are backup mode and load balance mode. In backup mode, you have two WAN connections, but the VPN is active on only one WAN connection. If this WAN fails, then the VPN will fail over to the second backup WAN. And VPN trunk management lets you set up VPN load balance between two sites. What this does is let you set up two VPN tunnels between two sites running over separate WAN connections. These two VPN tunnels are combined to provide a larger bandwidth pipe between the two sites, which will result in improved VPN performance, as well as provide redundancies should one of the VPN tunnels go down. And another type of VPN tunnel is the SSL VPN. That is a secure sockets layer virtual private network. It's a type of VPN that can be used with a standard web browser. And there are two benefits that SSL VPN provides, and these are shown on the page here. And it's firstly, it says it's not necessary for users to pre-install a VPN client software to establish a SSL VPN connection. So you just use your web browser. And there are less restrictions for the data encrypted through SSL VPN when compared to traditional VPN. And here we have the SSL VPN configuration menu in the VIGA 2925 router. It's worth noting that the SSL VPN is also available for LAN-to-LAN VPN tunnels on certain routers. And that was introduced in some of the later firmware versions, revisions in the, I think, 2860 and 2925 as well. And you'll notice that here that the default SSL VPN port is port 443. So this can cause problems sometimes because it's the same port that's used for the management of the router. So to avoid conflicts, it's recommended to change the default management port to a different value, say port 444, which I've got shown in the bottom right-hand corner. Otherwise, you'll probably find that some applications may not work properly. So it's just something for you to watch out for when you if you're using SSL, or I think it's turned on by default anyway. So, but it might cause a conflict. And SSL VPN also provides a number of applications that can be accessed over the VPN, and these are shown here, which is I think there's three there shown. So you've got virtual network computing, it's VNC, remote desktop protocol, and Samba application. So now I'll just quickly go over some of the VPN protocols that are used in the routers. So DrayTek includes the most common VPN tunneling protocols in their routers with no additional licensing required. And these protocols, the supported protocols, are listed on this page, and includes point-to-point tunneling protocol, which is known as PPTP, and it encapsulates point-to-point protocol frames into IP datagrams for transmission over an IP-based internet network. And it just uses port 1723. And for this, you just use a username and password for authentication. And the Layer 2 tunneling protocol, which is the L2TP, is a combination of PPTP and Layer 2 forwarding protocol. L2TP uses UDP port 1701 to send messages over the IP networks. And for this, it also uses a username and password for tunnel authentication. And IPsec, this next one shown there, provides a mechanism for secure data transmission over IP networks. It ensures confidentiality, integrity, and authenticity of data communications. It uses the Internet Key Exchange Protocol for key and security information exchange. As I mentioned earlier, in the latest firmware versions for the VIGA 2860, 2925, SSL VPNs are now supported. So I just got the firmware version shown there on the bottom there. So it's from 3.81, 3.82, and for 2960 and 3900s 110, they'll introduce the SSL VPN. So that's an option in the LAN to LAN configuration. And just shows you briefly on this page that security on the LAN is a key concern, and these protocols ensure security for the network. And for IPsec, you can choose DES, 3DES, and AES, and that's probably the most secure. And then SSL uses RC4 encryption. And here we just got a comparison between IPsec and SSL VPN. So I just mentioned there that IPsec is better for LAN-to-LAN communication, and SSL is better suited for remote dialing connections, since you can use just a web browser. But it's also going to be used for LAN-to-LAN VPN connections for certain router models. And this diagram just shows the different stages in setting up an IPsec VPN tunnel, where we have the call initiation, handshaking, IKE phase 1 and IKE phase 2 in steps 2 and 3, then tunnel establishment. So it helps to understand the process involved for establishing an IPsec VPN. Especially when if you encounter difficulties, it's got an idea that the data flow or this phase then helps to troubleshoot VPN problems. But it can be difficult to troubleshoot. But DrayTek have provided an application note that show you how to analyze the logs. But what we found from our experience, that most of the issues that arise from IPsec VPNs are usually due to incorrect configurations, and most of them can be resolved just by checking the settings that have been used. But for complex issues or compatibility issues, then we usually ask for the syslogs to be sent to us so we can analyze and try and work out what's causing the problem. So now I'll just quickly go over some configuration options for the various types of VPN tunnels. So the most common case is that you may want to securely connect two networks via VPN, such as a remote branch office to the headquarters. So one requirement is that the two network LANs should not have the same network address. So they're going to have unique IP subnets. So you can see on this diagram we've got router A is configured as a VPN server, and it's using the LAN IP subnet of 192.168.1.0 and 192.168.3.0. And then router B is configured as the VPN client, and it uses the IP subnets 192.168.2.0, which is different to that used on the router A network. If you do have duplicate IP subnets, you'll probably find that the VPN won't come up and you get no traffic flow. And in the just show just the part of the configuration menu. So there's multiple sections in the LAN to LAN configuration menu. Here you have the VPN dial out menu. So if you select this option, the router will be configured as a VPN client, and we'll try to establish a connection with the remote router, which will be configured as a dial-in connection. For dial out, we also select always on for the mode, and this is to provide a stable connection that will, won't time out due to inactivity. And here we have the dial-in section of the VPN profile. This will be on the VPN server configuration, and the router will accept VPN dialing requests. For PPTP, you just need to configure a username and password. And for IPsec that I've got highlighted here, there are more parameters that need to be entered. So firstly, you need to specify the IP address for each end of the VPN tunnel when using main mode. Or you can use peer ID when one end doesn't have a static IP address. You also have to enter a pre-shared key for IKE authentication, as well as the security method. There are a number of application notes available in our knowledge base, which covers various scenarios for creating VPN tunnels. And here we just show a screenshot of the IPsec security settings. The router supports a number of options from DES up to AES 256. So if you have a look on the bottom, you can see in the text all the supported encryption method. So let's go to, and in the other configuration mode, which is the remote dial-in for teleworkers. Here, a remote worker, which or remote user may want to connect to the to the enterprise network securely via VPN. So the enterprise router is configured to allow remote dial-in connections or dial-in users and to use say PPTP. And remote username and password needs to be specified here, and you can also use radius for authentication of the remote users. And the remote user, which will be the VPN client, needs to configure the VPN client on the PC and to connect to the VPN server. And the remote user can also use the smart VPN client on the PC, or use the the built-in Microsoft VPN client that comes with Windows. That's for PPTP. I think if you're using, say, set up an IPsec or SSL connection, sometimes it's a lot easier to just use the smart VPN client on your PC. And here I've got the configuration page for the remote dial-in user. You can set up to about 32 remote dial-in user profiles. But I think I'll just show just the options for remote dial-in user, and I don't know if I've got the next page. No. So for this is the smart VPN client software, which it can be used for IPsec and SSL, and this can be downloaded from the DrayTek website. And here we have some of the settings for IPsec VPN using Smart VPN Client. And for IPsec, you need to enter the the relevant IP addresses, security method, and pre-shared keys. And you also have the option to select SSL VPN tunnel here as well, and enter your username and password. But as you can see on the left here, you can also select PPTP, and you've got all the available options you can select. And another VPN configuration mode that I mentioned earlier was the VPN load balancing. This mode lets you set up multiple VPN tunnels depending on the router used, and load balance the VPN tunnels between the two sites, as shown in this diagram. Here we have a VIGA 3900 and a VIGA 3200 utilizing two WAN connections to load balance two VPN tunnels. This provides a larger bandwidth pipe between the two cities, or two sites rather, which will result in improved VPN performance, as well as provide redundancy should one of the VPN tunnels go down. And to do this, we also need to set up two IPsec VPN tunnels, and also set up GRE, which I don't think you'll notice on the diagram. We also have to allocate GRE IP addresses. So there's a bit of configuration involved here. And this here, I'll just show you the GRE settings down the bottom. So that's where you have to enter the your local GRE IP address in the remote, and then you have to enable this function to allow load balance to occur. So I'll just go quickly through some tools that DrayTek provide to make creation of VPN tunnels easier. And so there are a number of tools available from DrayTek, and so here we've got the three listed. So you've got configuration and management tools, and you've got VPN client utilities, application nodes, VPN diagnostics. So I'll go through each of those. And for the VPN configuration and management tools, DrayTek have provided includes the central VPN management, which is I think it's listed as CVM in the high-end routers such as the 2860, 2925, VIGA 2960, and 3900. So this was covered in a webinar earlier this year. But if you're interested, just let us know. We can go through this topic again in the future. So you can let us know in the survey at the end of the webinar. And I'll just quickly go through what CVM does do. So Central VPN Management communicates with all the CP devices, that is the branch office routers, using TR-0-069 protocol. And CVM initiates the CPE, the remote routers, to dial into the VPN tunnel. So the CVM router, which in our case is the 2860, I don't think you can see the diagram down the bottom there, it's configured for dial in, and the remote routers are configured for dial out. And also Central VPN Management will manage multiple CP devices simultaneously. And the number of CP devices supported is determined by the router model. The VIGA 2860 and VIGA 2925 each support 8 CP devices. The VIGA 2960 supports 12 CP devices, and the 3900 supports 16 CP devices. So it becomes like a centralized management system for VPN. So with CVM, once you have the TR-069 enabled, you just need to select the router from the menu that's on the page, and with just a couple of clicks or a few clicks, then the routers will just self-configure and bring the VPN up. So it removes the frustration of setting up VPN tunnels, and it also lets you see the status of each VPN tunnel that is running. So And here we've got a screenshot of the 2860 CVM configuration menu, and it's similar to the 2925. So it can be used to. It's a handy tool to to manage multiple VPNs, and it's sort of a cut down. Probably it's a portion of the ACSSI software that's included in the router. And here we have a screenshot of the 2960 central VPN management option configuration menu, and this is similar to the 3900 router. And the other tool that can be used to manage create and manage VPN tunnels is Viga ACSSI, and this was covered in one of our previous webinars held earlier this year as well. And Viga ACSSI includes the VPN wizard that's shown on this page, and this lets you easily create VPN tunnels between two sites just by dragging and dropping the device icons and selecting the VPN tunnel required. The VPN tunnel is created in the background, and the user does not have to worry about any of the configuration parameters required. So it's a handy tool if you have a large number of VPNs to configure, and it'll save you an enormous amount of time. Just worth noting, if you're interested in trying out Viga ACSSI, just let me know and we can set up a test account for you to try it for 30 days, so you can have first-hand experience with it. Also in here, the the manager page just shows you the status and type of each VPN tunnel by the colored details in the topology diagram. So we've got the light blue, I think light blue is IPsec, and the green is PPTP. And it shows you the connections are up between those devices. And with Viga ACSSI, it also will send you an alert if any of the tunnels happen to go down, so you'll be notified as if there's any problems. As mentioned earlier, DrayTek also have the Smart VPN client utility, and I think I showed you previously. It can be used to set up a VPN tunnel between from a PC to a DrayTek VPN server, and it's particularly useful for setting up IPsec and SSL VPN tunnels. And another resource to help you set up VPN tunnels in DrayTek routers is the extensive number of application notes that are available in both the draytek.com and draytek.com.au websites. And they cover various scenarios for configuration of VPN tunnels that include DrayTek router to DrayTek router and DrayTek router to other brands of routers. It also includes host to LAN VPN tunnels. And these application notes are available under the support pages of both websites. And if you encounter any difficulty setting up VPN tunnels, you may need to capture router syslogs. And DrayTek do provide a syslog utility that you can run on your PC. And this utility can also be downloaded from our downloads page on our website. And once you have the syslogs, you can use, for IPsec issues, you can use the application note to help troubleshoot. But as I mentioned earlier, a lot of the issues are just due to incorrect configuration. But if you do capture the syslog, you can send them off to us, and we can help you to analyze, what's causing the problem. Welcome to DrayTek Australia. My name is Roy Panetta. Today I will introduce you to VPN load balancing and show how it will improve your inter-office communications. This will benefit your business by increasing productivity. I will start by explaining what is VPN load balancing. When you set up a VPN link between two sites, for example the head office and a branch office, you will most likely use a single ADSL connection at each site to connect to the internet. If the ADSL link speed is slow, it may cause congestion and slow data transfer over the VPN trunk, resulting in loss of productivity and frustration of users. DrayTek do provide a solution. Without going into great detail, VPN load balancing is a feature of DrayTek routers that allow you to set up multiple VPN connections between two sites using multiple WAN connections. This provides both a larger capacity network pipe between the two sites, as well as providing redundancy should one of the WAN connections fail. VPN load balancing works by combining the individual VPN connections to form a single greater capacity VPN trunk. The traffic loader over each VPN connection is determined by the real-time bandwidth of each WAN connection, ensuring efficiency of traffic load distribution. This is a very useful feature for those wanting higher speeds for inter-office data flow, especially when the current network speed is limited by a slow ADSL connection. For example, a VPN load balance connection can be established between the head office and the remote office over two ADSL or 3G links, effectively doubling the link capacity between the two sites. Routers supporting VPN load balance are the VIGA 2930, VIGA 2955, VIGA 3200, VIGA 3300, and the soon to be released VIGA 3900 series routers. Thank you for watching. In our next video, I will show you how to set up a load balanced VPN trunk connection between two sites using DrayTek routers.